I'm an autistic psychologist, meaning I have autism myself, and also I'm a psychologist and I help autistic people. And I want to help you kind of decide between the two major options for getting professional support, which is autism therapy and autism coaching. And even though I'm a therapist, I'm not going to come down on one side or the other. I'm going to sort of talk through both options and help you sort of figure out which one is right for you. Look, as autistic people, we live in a world that was not designed for us. We live in a world where everything was designed for neurotypical minds and neurotypical needs. And that means that trying to navigate the world as a neurodivergent person is really hard unless you have somebody in your corner who understands how your neurodivergent mind works and can kind of coach you, encourage you, support you, etc. But the question is, how do you find that person? Because it's honestly really hard to do. And that's why I wanted to make this video. Let's start by unpacking the most obvious difference between therapy and coaching, but then I'll sort of explain some of the surprising ways where this actually influences your choice of which one is right for you. So, the most obvious difference is, of course, that it's much easier to become a coach than it is to become a therapist. A therapist has to go to grad school, has to do a lot of supervised clinical hours, has to get licensed, whereas a coach has to decide, oh, I'm going to be a coach. And obviously, coaches can do additional training, certification, etc., but that's not required. And there's also no guarantee that that training is going to be high quality in the same way that a graduate school is accredited and is required to uphold a certain level of quality. So, coaches, it's much easier to become a coach than it is to become a therapist. And obviously, there's some downsides to that, but there's also a big benefit to trying to find a coach because of this, which is that it's much easier to find an autism coach. If an autistic person wants to enter the therapy field, they have to go through a lot of work. They have to jump through a lot of hoops. But if an autistic person thinks, I think I can help other people, let me become an autism coach, well, they can do that tomorrow. And as a result, there are many more coaches that specialize in adult autism than there are therapists that specialize in adult autism. What's more, it can be much easier to find an autism coach that is accessible to you because an autism therapist might be more expensive or they might only be able to see clients in a particular area and you don't happen to be in that area. Whereas an autism coach, they're oftentimes cheaper. And because they're not licensed, they can work with people anywhere. They don't have to focus just on folks in the state of their licensure. So the bottom line is that if you are looking for support, and you want somebody who really understands what it's like to be autistic, somebody who specializes in helping neurodivergent people, finding a coach is often going to be much easier for you than finding a therapist. Of course, a coach is not going to have as much training as a therapist, but you might not need that training for what your goals are. If your goal is to understand your autistic mind more, then an autistic coach who really specializes in the autistic experience might really be able to teach you those things. Or if you just need some skills training, you're like, I need some practical advice for how to get this thing done, then again, a coach can really help you with that. And of course, a coach can really help you if what you need is coaching. If you need somebody to say, come on, you can do it, go and do that thing, I'm going to encourage you, well, then a coach can be great for those purposes. And the fact is, a good coach can be really helpful to somebody who's autistic. A good autism coach can help you understand your autism more because they work with autistic people all day. They're probably autistic or neurodivergent themselves. And so they can help you put words to your experience. They can help you be validated by being like, yeah, you're not the only one who struggles with that. You're not the only one who experiences life in that way. That can be extremely useful to hear from somebody who has lived the same kind of life that you have. Autistic coaches can also really help you with practical skills training. If you need a strategy, if you need a technique to accomplish something, they can often give you that skill and help you build up your ability to get stuff done in your life. If you need somebody to walk you through how do you unmask, how do you make small talk at a party, how do you manage your executive function, a coach can really help you with that stuff. And of course, a coach can also help you with, the coaching part. If you just need somebody to be in your corner to say, rah, rah, you can do it. Come on, sit down, write that email, go to that party and tell me how it went. Like, well, a coach can do that really well. And you don't have to pay for somebody with advanced clinical training to just kind of be in your corner and support you. So in many cases, an autism coach can really help you. And again, they might be much easier to find than an autism therapist. But there are some reasons why you might really need a fully trained therapist. And it's not just the most obvious reason of if you have a serious mental health concern. Even if you're not depressed, you're not anxious, you're just trying to get some support with your life, a therapist might be necessary rather than a coach if the thing keeping you stuck is more complex than what a coach is able to dig into. Let me kind of give you an example. Let's say that you have a goal of making more friends. A coach is going to be able to help you with the practical steps of that goal, right? They're going to be able to help you find some social events, help encourage you to go to the social events. But what if deep down you have a belief that you're just not lovable? Well, a coach isn't going to be able to help you with that. And that belief is going to sabotage everything that you try to do with the coach. You might be able to go to the social event, you might be able to have a conversation with somebody, but if deep down you believe that nobody would ever really like you, it's going to be much, much harder for you to actually enjoy that social event or trust that the people there want to talk with you. And a coach, they're not equipped to dig through those deeper kinds of things because those deeper kinds of things are probably coming from a very b- big place in your life. They're probably coming from a past history, from a complex weave of your relationships. And if a unqualified coach starts digging around in there, well, it's kind of like somebody doing surgery with a kitchen knife, right? You want the person doing that kind of work to be qualified and prepared to do it because otherwise they're just as likely to cause harm as they are to actually help you. And so a therapist is qualified and able to dig into that deeper kind of stuff and uncover the root causes of the things that are maybe keeping you stuck. And I want to be clear, this does not mean that every therapist is better than every coach because there are plenty of bad therapists out there, right? There are plenty of therapists who are bad for autistic people. Maybe they are not neuroaffirming, maybe they are stigmatizing, they're just going to encourage you to mask. And then there are plenty of therapists who are just kind of bad, period. They don't really care about their clients, they don't work hard to improve themselves. So I'm not saying that every therapist is going to be able to help you with your deeper root issues. What I am saying is that if you do have a deeper issue that a coach can't address, not every therapist can help you with that, but the right therapist could help you with that in a way that no coach could. In other words, a coach is fine if you are working on more surface level kinds of things, but if you have something deeper, if you need emotional mental surgery, so to speak, then you need to work to find the right therapist who can go on that deeper journey with you. And this is challenging because remember, we were just talking about how it can be really hard to find a therapist who specializes in adult autism. But I actually want to give you an answer to this that is kind of surprising and might unlock a new pathway forward. If there is some kind of deeper issue that is stopping you from making progress on your goals, you don't actually need an autism therapist to help you address that issue. And hear me out. If you have a deeper issue, such as shame or a lack of self love, that is a human issue. That is not something that you have because you are autistic. That is something you have because you are human. All sorts of humans struggle with shame, doubt, fear of being loved, yearning for acceptance. And a really good therapist who knows how to help other clients with shame or doubt or self critical thoughts or whatever, they're going to be able to help you with that also, even if they don't specialize in helping autistic people. In other words, what you want to do is you want to look for a therapist who's really good at addressing the root, deeper issue, even if they're not particularly specialized in autism. So, if your struggle is that you don't love yourself, or your struggle is that you keep thinking self critical thoughts, well, then find a therapist that specializes in self love and self critical thoughts and see if they might be able to help you with that deeper issue. Obviously, you also want to make sure that they are neuro inclusive, but they don't have to be an autism specialist. You can just express to them, hey, I'm autistic, and how does that affect the work that we do together? Or, hey, I've had bad experiences with other therapists who encouraged me to mask or who had outdated stereotypes about what it meant to be autistic. How can we be sure that that doesn't happen in our work together? And just listen to what they tell you. And a good therapist is going to come across as curious, as humble, as wanting to understand you and not slap a label or an assumption onto you. And if you find a therapist that does that, then you can go on that journey of unpacking that deeper root issue and finding that deeper healing with them. Maybe you start with a coach and then you get as far as you can with the coach and then you switch to a therapist when you're ready to work on the deeper issue. Maybe you work with both of them on different goals, or maybe if you know that there's a deeper issue, if you know that, yeah, really, it's not about the making friends, it's about this belief about myself, then maybe you just start with a therapist and that's okay too. But whatever you do, I don't want you to do it alone. There is a lot of great support out there for you. There are people that will understand you as an autistic person. There are people that will help you live your best neurodivergent life possible. And you might not find them on the first try, but when you do find the right support system, whether it's a coach or a therapist or a combination of the two, you will find real healing, real growth, and you will find that your life truly does change. So let this be an encouragement. Go search for a coach, a therapist, whoever you need. Try it out and then drop a comment. Let me know how it goes. Maybe check back in a month or two. Let me know if it ended up being helpful for you. And of course, don't hesitate to leave a comment if there's questions that you have or something else that you want me to make a video on. And if you want more videos about autistic life, therapy, etc., like, follow, do all that good stuff. Dr. Dan signing off.